Welcome, everybody. This is the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley. Every week we bring you a speaker or speakers who want to tell us something fascinating about the world of service or something innovative, educational, entrepreneurial, especially if all of these things mix together in some fascinating way. And today they do. We have with us Rebecca and Carolyn, and we are not only getting these cool people to join us, we are getting these cool people from another cool E-Club, the Rotary E-Club of East Anglia, which they can tell us more about if it fits within the talk, is one that we have had lots of ties with. There's just something about connecting with another cool club and being like, wow, these people are great, that gets us into that space. So I'm Rushton Hurley. I am the charter president of this club, so the 2015-16 year. I have with us Andrew Tao, who is the president-elect for the 2018-19 year, or he's president-elect now, will be president in 2018-19. And we have Megan, who, as I noted before we started the recording, is chromatically consistent, but a good person. So with that, I want to introduce our speakers and to have them tell you about the very cool project they have called GlassGiving. So Rebecca and Carolyn, I will let you speak in more detail about your backgrounds, things like this, but we're just excited to hear what you have to say. Welcome.
Thank you. Right, let me start sharing and hope this works. People can just give me some sign if this is getting perfect. Thank you. So Caroline and I are here to talk to you today, like Rushton said, from the Rotary Club of East Anglia. And we're going to talk to you about GlassGiving, which is a bit of a project of ours. As some introduction, we met via the E-Club of East Anglia. I'm one of the founder members of the E-Club, and Caroline has been with us for pretty much since the start, I think. Yes. She's also part of a land-based club as well, so has the membership of 2 clubs. We physically met whilst we climbed the London Dome, which is the O2 Arena in London, last year, which we did in aid of end polio and roll out the barrel. As you can see from the picture taken at the top, most of us were enjoying it. Caroline was looking straight ahead. She had her cap so she couldn't see up. She had her coat so she couldn't see the side, and she was just looking where she was going. So I get the impression it's not one that she's going to join again for a club fundraiser. We meet every Wednesday evening at 7:30. It would be lovely if anybody can join us at any point. And I'm sorry, I have just got a Windows update thing. Let me just snooze that, because you can never tell what Windows is going to do. Yes, we post, we're always on the same link, so we can pass that to Rushton and get that shared, and it would be lovely to see anybody. But I'm now going to pass over to Caroline for the very start of the story.
Okay, there was quite a lot of glass in my life before it became GlassGiving. The picture you can see in front of you is the conservatory that my husband and I had built on the back of our house when we retired, in gleeful anticipation of hours of relaxation and reading, just sitting there. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way, and Rebecca's about to show you just what happened instead. Because 7 years ago, my husband took me off on a glass fusing course, and we enjoyed it so much that this is what our lovely, relaxed, sophisticated conservatory now looks like. We have a wall of glass of varying descriptions, a small kiln with a 12 by 12 working surface, a glass polisher, a sophisticated fancy shaped glass cutter, a small work surface for myself in the bottom left there, a large work surface for my husband, who also does wire work and enameling and makes all the findings for jewellery. That's the bits that it fits on, and the chains. And the only person who gets to relax is the supervisor, who has a good old comfortable chair in the corner, but nobody ever gets to sit on it anyway. So we have various forms of glass, which I use for the jewellery, and Rebecca's going, that's it, first one coming up. The sheets that you can see on your left are actually 10 by 10. They're called streaky or confetti glass. The one in the top corner is the confetti glass. And what I do is I sit there and I stare at it and stare at it till I see a bit that I think is going to make a good pendant. then I cut that bit out and I either stick it under clear glass or over a different coloured glass, and you get the sort of pendant effect that you can see on the other slide. So those are the streaky ones. The next ones are dichroic. Now, dichroic is what my husband and I call shiny glass, because that's just what it does. It shines. It's fascinating to work with because not only does it change as you tilt it in the light, it changes when you fire it. So you can see that in the pendants demonstrated there, what I've used there is a glass with dichroic butterflies in it. And you can see how the butterflies have come out in different colours on the white one from on the blue one. The one in the middle is made from the big sheet of blue streaky that you can see, blue shiny, and a different sort of glass. And as you can see, if you put them under glass, then you get an effect of depth and texture. The cufflinks are just there to show you that it's a brute to work with, because they were cut to give you exactly the same shine on each cufflink. And as you can see, one's come up with a streak in the middle and the other's got a streak on each edge. But the sort of stuff that I like doing best is in the next slide, which is taking lots of little bits of glass, cutting them to shape, sticking them on clear glass, and then filling in the bits with the little round dots that you can see, which are called frit. As you can see, that makes the beginnings of a landscape. You then put it into the kiln, and that's the other thing that I love about working with glass. It changes when you put it in the kiln. So over 7 years, we made Christmas decorations, we made plates, we made plaques and plates, got it in the right order this time. We made tableware settings. We made small bowls, and we made lots and lots and lots of jewellery, to the point where I couldn't wear any more jewellery. We couldn't eat off any more plates. But as we got older and other hobbies were getting less and less easy to do, we really wanted to go on with the glass. And the dome had convinced me that there was no way in my life ever again I was doing that sort of sponsored nonsense for charity. I hated it. I raised £2,000, but I hated it. And then Rebecca sent out an email saying that she was going to do the London Marathon, which is an even worse idea than walking the dome, in aid of action on hearing loss. Now, I knew Rebecca was of an age to have friends who wore jewellery, that she had all sorts of web skills that I didn't have, and that her husband Matt was into photography. So I kind of chanced my arm and phoned her up and said, Rebecca, do you fancy selling jewellery for your sponsorship? And I'll let her take over what happened after that.
So when Caroline rang me, I jumped at the chance, as well as the fact that I am a software developer, so I do a lot of web work and computer work anyway. I love jewellery. I love shiny things. Yeah, most girls do, I suppose. I'm not really anything different there, but I really do love having something that's unique, and this glass just appealed to me so much. So we launched GlassGiving in September 2016, like Caroline said, in aid of action on hearing loss, which I'll come back to a little bit more later. But within just the first month of the website being up, we donated £152 to the fundraising for action on hearing loss. We sort of started evolving from there, and now we don't just sell so much of the simple glass, and we don't just sell online. As the pictures show, we now do things like the craft fairs, and this is actually my local village fete. We sell necklaces, cufflinks, bookmarks, hair slides. We sell the wire work, necklaces, bracelets, and so much more. And as you can tell from the picture, everything is slightly different. We've got dogs in the bottom right. You can see the bookmarks in the top left, bottom left picture, sorry, and the bookmarks in the top left. You can see some of the different arrays of wire works there, and the glass, and some of the bigger pendants and the smaller. We've got such a wide array. Do go and check out our website afterwards to see. And if we haven't got what you want, I'm sure Caroline likes the challenge of making things. So we started for action on hearing loss because they are very close to my heart. My mum is deaf with a cochlear implant, And so this was something that's very, very important to my family. I always thought I'd do the London Marathon one day. I eventually thought, if I keep saying one day, I'm never going to do it. Why not apply? Everybody told me you will never get in on your first year, and I got accepted by 2 different charities and had to pick which one to run for. So I raised £2,608.17 in total, and I completed it in 7 hours 17. Doesn't sound very fast, but as you can tell by the way I'm standing in the picture, I ripped tore ligaments in my shoulder about mile 8 going for a bottle of water, and the rest of the way round was pretty much just pain and agony and stubbornness. Or I wouldn't have completed it without my family there egging me on, or as my dad puts it, I spent the whole time trying to run away from my mother-in-law. We then decided we were going to keep it going and changed over to something that should be close to every Rotarian's heart. Despite being one of the founder members of my club, when Caroline mentioned it, I really didn't know a lot about it. So I'm going to hand back over to Caroline.
Yeah, I guess I knew about Rotary Foundation because when I joined Rotary 11 years ago, the next year they came to me and said, will you chair the foundation committee? Now, little did I know at the time that that was because other people weren't enthused by foundation. But I went on courses about it, and I think it's the best bit of Rotary. I think it's the fact that there are no administration costs, the fact that it always comes up so high in any rating of charity, charity ratings, the fact that it's peer-to-peer scrutiny, that all projects are of local origin, that as far as I can see, it's difficult to incorporate corruption into it. I think the 6 areas of focus really sum up human need. I've heard some fascinating talks by peace scholars, and the chairman, the president of Loch Ness Rotary, where I go for my land-based club, has just been on a vocational training team exchange, and they seem to be working really well. I like the emphasis on sustainability, and I like the fact that every size of grant that could be needed is catered for. I'll challenge you, what's not to like about Rotary Foundation? And so that's what we're going to be looking at, giving half of the money. At the moment it's all the money, but in the future we may change a bit. Our plans for the future are quite vague but interesting. At the moment I'm working on Rotary themed pieces in the hope that we can get more online sales to Rotary members. We were in touch with Jennifer Jones, who was very nicely enthusiastic about the jewellery, and suggested we try to do something for End Polio Now. So the back pieces there are my attempt to start working in purple and pink. Unfortunately, purple glass is very difficult. It tends to go very dark when you use it. And the cufflinks, of course, are in Rotary colours. Rebecca, over to you. Other ideas for the future?
So we have lots of ideas, and most of them maybe not quite so practical. But try and help the small charities. Caroline and I are both very passionate about the smaller charities, the ones that don't get as much notice, don't get as much people after them, and would be quite pleased if we can try and help some of those a bit. What else is coming? Well, there's obviously going to be more glass, more wire work, and we're looking at maybe some beaded jewellery, different bits appearing on the website all the time, and the only way to really know is going to be to follow us and see where we end up. We're both very passionate about this, and neither of us like to sit still, which I think is how this all happens. But one thing we know is definitely coming up in the future: Christmas. So we have snowmen that we make to order. A special offer that we are doing for Rotary people is 4 for £10, and the hats and scarf colours are chosen for you. Now there is supposed to be, there is supposed to be a picture of an angel on this slide, and I'm not very sure why it's there, so I'm very sorry about the big white space. But we do also do angels as well, and if you look on our website, then they are there. Where that website is well, this is at glassgiving.com. We also have a Facebook page. You can find us there at GlassGiving. And if you search for us on the Etsy store, we come up there. We love what we do, as I hope you can tell. And we welcome anything, whether it's orders for jewellery or people wanting us to speak or just ideas and help. We are both making it up as we go, I think is fair to say. So yeah, anything is really brilliant. And that is the end of our talk.
Well done. Very, very cool stuff that you guys have got going there. Rebecca, if you go ahead and stop sharing there, we'll move back to gallery view and engage in a little Q&A. For all of our viewers, you should know that this is part of our pattern. You know, we find interesting people to come talk to us for up to about 15 minutes or so, and then maybe another 10 minutes, maybe 12 for Q&A time, because these are interesting people and we want to get to know them a little better. So that's the fun of being on the recording rather than just watching the recording. So what I'd like to do is open up to questions. I'll toss out the first, and then Megan and Andrew can add a few more in if they have them as well. So I love that this was inspired essentially out of service. You know, as I mentioned earlier, we have this interest in, our club has a special interest in innovation, entrepreneurship, and education. And it sounds like there was a class that you took, I mean, about glass, that an educational piece. You started a business on this that's entrepreneurial, and in doing it the way you're doing it for the Rotary Foundation, I think that seems quite innovative in terms of fundraising. So fits well into our space. I'm curious how other Rotarians in the UK have responded to your efforts with this. I mean, do they get it right away? Do they have kind of some standard questions about what you're doing? How have your land-based club colleagues there have responded to what you're doing?
I've mostly, I should say that the main people that I've targeted on this have been the wives, because they have once a month they have an evening meeting from the Rotary Club, and I've taken stuff along there. I've sold to other wives, and I've also I've also had orders from them for things to fit certain outfits or to replace jewellery that got broken. But I haven't taken it to any other land-based club. Unfortunately, one of the reasons that I don't do the selling, etc., is I've had some health problems, so that's made things a bit difficult. But I have wondered about wandering around the clubs. But it's really trying to target people who might be buying jewellery, and I'm not really sure that people are prepared to do that at a lunchtime Rotary meeting of the traditional sort.
So I'm actually taking it to a land-based club on, I think it's the 4th. I know I really should know what I'm doing on my calendar, but I'm taking it to one in the next week or so, when they've asked me to go and do a talk at the land-based club about e-clubs and the sort of thing that we get up to and how we differ. And all right, it's my dad's club, so I've kind of got a slight inside track there, but they have said that I can also take some along because it's an example of what we do, of how we do things. And in fact, from the outside of Rotary View, it's been really good as well, because we've got things to people, and we're getting Rotary Foundation out there a bit, which people are getting very on board with. It's amazing the amount of people that know the name Rotary, but nothing else. So it's opening the doors to that as well as to the jewellery. Well,
you know, I think one of the questions that a lot of people have when they learn about e-clubs is, you know, how do you guys do service? You know, how does that work? And essentially this was something that was inspired by the connections that happened totally across the country between you two. Yeah. I mean, we've got visual evidence of what it means to be a part of any club at the moment. Our immediate past president, Mitty Chang, is getting ready to fly somewhere, but he's right there, which is pretty awesome. I won't ask him to speak, and out of fear that the stewardess would be like, "You're not supposed to be doing that," or anything like that. But without a doubt, this is something that is the result of connections made in your e-club, and That's pretty cool. I mean, I'm sure that the other members of your club have responded very well.
Yes, they've been very supportive. And people in various places have spread the word around their own clubs, etc. People who like you never belong to two clubs, as we know officially, but people who like me also attend another club have done a lot of selling for us as well.
So Carolina and I are actually almost very opposite ends of the country here. It's a very long drive between us, and I can attest to that because I did it about a month ago. And we were on the road for a good 7 or so hours. Without the club, it really wouldn't have been possible.
Yeah, there are lots of people who have a heart for service, but attending a weekly meeting at a particular place just is not in the cards. And I love that Rotary is kind of making space for those people by supporting, clubs like ours. So Megan or Andrew, if you have a comment or a question, now's a good time to jump in, wave at me, and we'll get that going as well. Andrew, get involved in this.
The pieces are gorgeous.
Thank you.
Loved those pictures. It was just so pretty. I'm definitely gonna check out the website right after I get off this call.
Thank you. New stock arriving on Monday.
Oh, okay. Maybe I should wait until Monday.
There's a fair bit of new stock to go on, actually. I've got bits down this end. Working full time, it's not the easiest to keep up to date sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, that brings up a logistical question, which is if someone from the United States is ordering, how do you cover is it just shipping based on where people are, or how does that work?
It is. We've got a UK cost and an international cost. Actually, one of our best customers is in Illinois.
All right.
So we're fairly good. We've had orders to Germany. We've got we're sorting for someone who's in Spain at the moment. So yeah, location is not a problem.
Well, I can imagine that a Rotarian like Andrew, who is engaged, might be very interested in doing a couple of things that can be kind of in the background, just waiting for a good moment to be like, oh, so I got you this. I mean, nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. And if one has been married, say, even 20 years, like I have, nothing wrong with having a little something kind of close by.
I hadn't thought of this sales line, Rushton, but now you mention it, now that would work at a land-based club, wouldn't it?
And just in case you were leaving your club today thinking you had to pick up something for someone special, we can help you out right now. And you're doing a favor to the Rotary Foundation at the same time. Ding! Way it works. Awesome. Other questions or comments? And Mitty, feel free to even come in via audio if you think that's okay, or to type something and I can pass it along. Megan as well. I mean, we got fun people we're talking to here. So,
so as part of the Etsy community myself, what ways as like small business individuals can we help you guys get the word out and kind of start your international orders off?
And Megan, before you get an answer to that, could you describe Etsy a little bit to viewers who might not be familiar with the organization?
Oh yeah, so Etsy is this amazing online marketplace, I guess you'd call it, for handmade goods and then the supplies to make those handmade goods. So if you're looking for those unique things, I'm so glad to hear that you guys are on it, because it sounds like this is just the perfect medium for you guys to be selling on. So that's awesome. But yeah, Etsy's amazing.
I think that anything you can pass on to us, Megan, about how to use Etsy would be very valuable, because Rebecca's put some things on there, but I don't think either of us know anything about boosting posts or how to target or get the word out that it's there. So anything you can tell us would be great.
I mean, I've used Etsy a lot before, but I must admit I tend to just get distracted and end up buying things.
It's so easy to do.
Well, I tried putting the glass on Pinterest, but then it occurred to me that all the people who follow my board on Pinterest, like me, are pinching ideas from each other to make in your own kiln. None of us are actually buying each other's stuff as far as I can make that.
Well, we have a social media expert in the plane seat in there, so looks like he's about to leave the gate, so they're gonna tell him zip away. but he's happy to help. Email him. He puts into the chat. Way to go, Mitty. Way to go. So what it strikes me for trying to make things happen via social media, I run kind of a number of projects myself. That the question becomes, how do you target within social media? And you find groups that are interested in X or Y or Z, right? And so if your groups are all in glass making, then you're going to run into the problem that you just described, right? But getting into that space where you can say, okay, well, how do we how do we find folks that are looking for gifts? And it might be a gift giving related thing or something along on that. But finding those groups is in part a function of, I think, reaching out to your networks in Facebook or anywhere and saying, anybody belong to networks for whom this would, and get their feedback on that. Often you can ask something, 100 people will see it, 10 people will think about it, 3 people will respond, and one of those 3 responses could be gold, right? And so that often may be the numbers that you're searching for there. So still got time for another question or so. Andrew or Megan, if you have anything to add, I would be happy to defer that time to you. Okay, Andrew.
So are there any plans in the future for like special events with the jewelry, like academic workshops for younger children, or exhibits where the items could be auctioned off, something like that?
We've done an auction recently. We put items into an auction that another charity was running recently. We've also had, I ran a kind of, I don't know if you get them over there, but over here we have things like Avon parties and things, brands that do parties to try and sell. So I ran one of those in a cafe in the town where I live, and we got a lot of more footfall than people buying, but it got it in their heads, and business cards went. And actually the cafe owner then loved them so much she kept some in her window as a display to sell there. And craft fairs. So we've got more things like that at the moment. We're trying to hit a lot of the Christmas craft fairs that are coming up. And so logistically, I know I'm finding it a bit hard with working full time and a 2-year-old child. So it's a juggling act sometimes on trying to see what we can do, which is why more of the focus has been online and the things that you can do whilst you're trying to scoff some food down, as opposed to the physical events.
Yeah, and as I say, unfortunately, I have a lot of experience at selling at craft fairs, etc., because my husband and I, part of our retirement before we got into the glass was making luxury truffles and fudge, and we did a lot of selling for that at fairs and what have you. But unfortunately, health-wise now, we just find we can't cope with that. It's just too much hiking, heaving stuff around and what have you. So that isn't on, and I'm afraid I couldn't do any educational stuff, because you've seen the size of the conservatory. I think let's put it this way, when Rebecca was up, we did keep her 2-year-old out of there. didn't think it was the safest of working environments.
Babies in kilns. Bad
no.
She was more interested in the cat.
Fair enough. So, well, certainly if you ever decide to just pull out a cell phone and make a video that could inspire a kid, my own nonprofit would be very happy to highlight it at nextvista.org. But I do want to kind of respect people's time who have joined us, and so I'll wind things down and then hand it over to you guys for just any last kind of words that you want to encourage people with. But for all of our viewers, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate you taking time to be a part of our meeting this week. We love getting the chance to share these ideas with you. If you know people who are doing wildly cool and interesting things, especially those things that result in service to others and making the world a better place, we would love to share their stories. So just let us know. Let us know, hey, we talked to these people, they're doing this cool thing. You put us in touch with them, and we'll ask them if they can find a little time to get online and share their story with us. Those who are viewing, make sure to do two things if you would. First, let us know you were here. Do the attendance survey, so make sure to fill that out. That's good for us just knowing who's where. We're not going to spam you or anything like that. And if you are a visiting Rotarian and you fill everything out properly, you'll get an email that you can pass along to your club secretary for making up a missed meeting, because we all can be 100% attenders with the ease of going to, say, online clubs, just saying. Additionally, there is a discussion forum at the bottom. Please add your thoughts on what you've seen in this program and in the other parts of the meeting. And by all means, respond to other people's comments. This is a space for discussion, hence the name, right? And with that, we will wind things up for today. So, Rebecca and Caroline, any last thoughts?
The only one from me would be, if you have ideas to do crazy things for charity, then go for it. But just make sure you tell people, because that's how things like this happen. If you have that random hobby you don't know what to do with, other people will probably got things to help.
Perfect.
And I think my point on that would be, if you think you really are too old and too decrepit to go leaping over domes or running marathons, there's always something you can do online instead.
Wonderful.
I keep telling you, you've got to skydive yet, Caroline.
She grimaces at the thought. So do I. So at any rate, thanks everyone for joining us, and we will see you next week.